In this lecture, we are going to learn about the timelines. First, go to style.css and comment out the display, grid, template columns, and gap from the container class. Back to index.html, remove the revert button and inside the container div, add a div with class called circle. Oh, by the way, go to index.js and remove all the code that we have written so far. Let us see if it's being added to the browser. Yes, it was added. Now go to index.js and create an object for the circle. Let's start adding a timeline. So, what is a timeline? According to GSAP, a timeline is a powerful sequencing tool that acts as a container for tweens and other timelines, making it simple to control them as a whole and precisely manage their timing. Without timelines, building complex sequences would be far more cumbersome. In order to add the timeline, we need to initialize an object for it first. So in our case, we call the object TL. Let TL equals gsap.timeline. Now with the help of the TL object, we can access to the properties and methods of timeline. So let us create a basic sequence for this timeline. Just like how we did for our previous animations by directly calling the method like to or from to from GSAP object. Here instead of that we will use TL. So in our example we add the to method of the GSAP to our timeline. Inside we select the circle object. We want it to move 200 pixels horizontally with the duration of 1 second. So this is going to be the first tween of our sequence. To add the next one, simply create another method from the same TL object. We will repeat the same process, so the idea is to move the circle in a square path coming back to its original position. We use duration of 1 second for each tween. So to achieve the square path, for the next tween I want X to move 200 pixels, and then on the third tween we want Y to move 0 pixels. And then for the last one, we want X to 0. That way the circle object will come back to its initial position through a square path. Now we have created a simple sequence of tweens, that is a timeline. We can also group timelines by creating functions that return its sequences. So we are creating a function called intro. We cut all the timeline sequences that we have created just now and paste it within the intro function and then return its timeline object. So whenever you call this function, timeline will be played. We can also sequence the timelines by creating a master timeline. It's the same procedure. We can call the master timeline object as master, and in order to add our intro function, we call the add method of the timeline, and inside we add the intro function. This also takes a second parameter, which we will discuss later in this lecture. Now I've copied the intro and pasted 2 more times, one for the middle timeline and the last one for the outro. To distinguish each function, change the color of the circle. In the outro function, I'm giving circle a black color for all the tweens. And for the middle, I'm giving a green color for all the circles. To add these functions which are returning its own timelines, we stitch the add function following the previous add function like so.